The Emperor's New Clothes. Chapter 1. The Emperor's Clothes. Once upon a time, there lived a rather useless emperor. He was useless because the only thing that mattered to him was his wardrobe. He owned the most exquisite clothes and had something new for every occasion. The emperor never repeated any of his clothes. He never met the people of his state or made any public appearances for a good cause unless he had new clothes to flaunt. The people often jokingly said, "Most emperors live in palaces, but our emperor lives in a wardrobe." News about the emperor's obsession for new clothes and his wasteful habit to squander the people's money on extravagant attire spread to nearby towns and villages. Two tricksters got wind of this, and they hatched a plan to teach the emperor a lesson. The crooks disguised themselves as weavers. Not the regular weavers one knows of, but unusual weavers who could weave the best, most marvelous piece of cloth one had ever seen. They walked into the emperor's chamber to act upon their plan. The Prime Minister announced their arrival. "Your Highness, two weavers are here to see you. They claim to be the best in the world." The emperor's eyes lit up. "They are the best, you say? I'm busy with my tailors right now, but bring them in. If they are as good as they claim, they're hired," said the emperor, admiring himself in his mirrored room. The mirrored room was designed such that the emperor would just stand in the room and the mirrors would show him how he looked from every angle. The weavers were sent to the emperor's throne room, where he was waiting for them. "Your Highness," they spoke in charming tones, "we have the perfect cloth that should only be worn by emperors as magnificent as you. For it's so light and finely woven, it's almost invisible. Anyone who is foolish and inept will say, 'Fabric? There is none.' Alas, a common eye can never spot such finery." The emperor was impressed. "Prove to me that you're the best. If that is true, I shall fire the rest." The emperor ordered his prime minister to provide a special room for the weavers to set up their loom and weave the most extraordinary fabric fit for the emperor. Chapter 2. The Invisible Fabric. The weavers got to work. They demanded expensive gold and silk threads from the emperor. "I will make you both the richest weavers in the world and bestow the title of Royal Weavers and Tailors upon you if you succeed," exclaimed the emperor to the weavers. The fraud weavers set up a big loom and hid all the threads they got from the emperor. They pretended to weave, but the loom was empty. The emperor thought, "My ministers are foolish if they cannot see the fabric on the loom. That way, I will know who's fit for office in my palace." The emperor thought it was a brilliant idea. He decided to send his ministers one by one to the weaving room. He never once doubted that he wouldn't be able to see the loom, but he felt that it was always better to send someone else to check the weaving before he did. His loyal prime minister was the first to go. He held the highest office in the palace. According to the emperor, if anyone was fit for a job in his palace, it was his prime minister. The prime minister entered the room where the weavers had set up the loom. He looked at the loom and could not believe his eyes. He saw nothing. He blinked his eyes a few times, looked around the room, and looked at the loom again. It was empty. The weavers asked him to move closer to the loom and showed him all the finery. He still could not see a thing. "Maybe I am foolish," he whispered to himself. But the prime minister did not say a word. "I don't want to be the foolish one," he thought. He ran to the emperor and told him how beautiful and fine the fabric was. He described the patterns and colors just like the weavers had explained to him. "Aha!" replied the emperor. "I knew they would deliver their promise." Chapter 3. The Emperor Sees the New Fabric. The tricksters demanded more money to buy threads for the fabric that they never used. The emperor happily provided them with all that they needed. He could not wait for them to finish their job. "Time to send someone else to see the weaving," said the emperor to himself, grinning. The emperor sent his advisor to the weaving room. He too entered the room and saw the weavers looking busy on an empty loom. But he didn't utter a word. "This is gorgeous! I've never seen such colors and designs before," he told the weavers, still trying to look hard through the empty frames. Now the emperor was certain that the fabric was visible. "I can safely check it now," he told himself, and decided to visit the weavers. The emperor strutted into the weaving room along with his prime minister and advisor. The weavers got up and bowed respectfully. They guided the emperor to the loom. The emperor looked at it very closely and very carefully. "Here it is, Your Highness," said the frauds in chorus. They smiled at the emperor. "Isn't it stunning?" the prime minister exclaimed a little too brightly. "Yes! Isn't it magnificent?" exclaimed the advisor. The emperor was speechless. "I can't see a thing here. What is everyone saying? Am I foolish?" he thought to himself. He just couldn't believe that everyone but him could see the fabric. "Oh, of course! It's brilliant and the most exquisite pattern that I have ever come across. Now, if you can please stitch it to my size," replied the emperor, still looking puzzled. "You shall wear this at dawn tomorrow, Your Highness. The entire kingdom will witness your beauty and splendor," said one of the frauds. The frauds managed to fool everyone at the palace, including the emperor. Now came the most difficult part, getting the emperor to wear the cloth that didn't exist. The next morning, they entered the emperor's chamber, pretending to hold a big roll of fabric. One of the tricksters took the emperor's measurements, while the other pretended to hold the invisible roll in one hand and the scissors in the other. Shortly, they announced that the outfit was ready to be worn. "Your Highness, if you could kindly disrobe, we can help you wear this outfit," said the cunning weaver. Chapter 4. Emperor's Procession. At first, the emperor was not comfortable, but he looked around and saw that his ministers were eagerly waiting for him to wear the new clothes. He removed his old clothes and wore the new ones. He looked in the mirror awkwardly and declared, "This is the best I have ever worn." "We agree, Your Highness. The kingdom must see this. We have arranged for a procession in town." "Everyone is waiting to see you," replied the prime minister. The procession took place at the palace square. "Make way for Your Highness and his royal weavers," declared the prime minister. Everyone fought to see the emperor in his robe. No one saw the fabric, but they applauded as he arrived and praised the new clothes. If they admitted that they could not see it, everyone would think they were foolish. But a little boy saw the emperor almost naked and ran up to him. He shouted, "The emperor's almost naked! Where are your clothes, Your Highness?" His father pulled him away. Slowly, everyone nodded and shouted in agreement to the boy. The emperor realized what a fool he had been, but he continued to pretend that he was robed and walked proudly till the procession ended. His royal weavers held his mantle behind him, smiling at their success.